We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves. We making major moves. We going all in. Like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves.
What is up, everybody? I'm Mr. Man. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a special video for you. I was going to be talking about the Philippines and their faster payment system, the PhilPass, but I figured this is too hot of a topic to pass up. I was talking to one of my guys on Twitter there, another colleague of mine, and he was asking me, have I heard of LIFI? And I was like, no, I've heard of it. I remember seeing something one time before. I caught this picture here by XX. He put this out, and it didn't necessarily make sense or enough to startle something in me to go and want to research. So I was talking to my guy there, and he's like, you should look into LIFI. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a look. He sent some documents. I started reading them, and I was like, this is the truth. This is the truth. Let's go into it. LIFI. So this is here. He's talking about Ripple in this infogram. Ripple, Stellar. He's got Codius, Interstellar. Codius, also known as Hooks. Oh no, Codius. Yeah. Smart contract. Yeah, that would be code. That would be Hooks, also known as Evernode now. We have Interstellar over there. We got IBM because they're with them. And let's zoom in. So we got Starlink up there, Palantir up there as well because they're involved in this. We have LIFI right there. What does that say? Light enabled LED. Okay. So light fidelity, visible light communication, LEDs. Let us learn about this. So the best way I like to start, per AI. Show me information pertaining to XRP and Ripple and LIFI light fidelity. Nothing. You're an idiot, Mr. Man. I was like, ah, shit. Can't believe you called me that. So I'm like, well, can XRP be moved or utilized over technology such as LIFI? Well, yes. XRP can potentially be moved or utilized over LIFI technology. The tweet, which we had just checked out there, he's talking about a LIFI video there on YouTube. And then this other post here by Steemit. There was nothing in there. When I went in there, nothing in there. But let's dive into what LIFI actually is. Here we are. LIFI, secure wireless high-speed data for government and defense. The challenge? Radio frequency is a target of near-peer adversaries and is becoming increasingly congested in a wireless and reliant technology world. The solution? Use Fidelity Light to provide data transfer security for sensitive systems and non-revealing communication in RF-denied environments, in non-F-denied radio frequency environments, while providing the security to ensure sensitive systems remain secure. LIFI brings secure, field-expedient wireless communications to any space regardless of data classification and sensitivity, offering low probability of intercept, LPI, and low probability of detect, LPD, or detected transmissions, broadband connections in situations where radio frequency is not an option. There we have convoy communication, aircraft to aircraft. We have TSCIF communication right in the command center. The advantages: LIFI is a non-RF infrared-based data connection that is resilient to interceptions, jamming, or tracking from outside. LIFI enables a point-to-multi-point broadband data connectivity where radio is not permitted. Data connection via light adds an additional level of physical security where what's in the room stays in the room. LIFI is only accessible with detected access devices. Workers can stay online and roam more flexibly. LIFI can be integrated into lighting fixture and is easily installed. You guys are going to want to see the remainder of this video because I got a banger for you guys at the end here. Seriously, this is going to blow your minds. All right. So we're talking about LIFI technology being utilized offline. I'm going to show you guys, not this one. This is a video from my man Smoke. This here, and this will explain it. This will explain it exactly what I mean.
The end result is a financial radio data network that can be deployed and maintained for a tiny fraction of the cost of traditional cellular data networks. Because our protocols run on a wide range of equipment, supply chain problems and the use of specialized or proprietary equipment can be avoided. Since all the equipment was chosen for low power consumption, large national networks can be rolled out rapidly without the requisite infrastructure required in traditional networks. Finally, we propose the use of specialized user interface terminals to allow payments both within a village and internationally without the need for smartphones or other expensive end-user equipment. By having a common and simplified user interface, people of all levels of technical competency can use CBDCs as easily as an ATM machine. So this is kind of a demo prototype. It is actually transacting on the XRP ledger with real XRP cryptocurrency using the radio sets and the protocols. Now the user interface is kind of a temporary construct. It was just built in order to facilitate the demo. Our next push will be on building a much nicer and friendlier user interface that would enable all the features of the XRPL. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and connect. So at this point, the network has completed the Diffie-Hellman key exchange and has initiated the AES encryption during the transport. And at this point, it's going to go ahead and just get the balance for the account that the terminal is using and then send that balance over to the machine via the VHF radio. So I'm going to go ahead and send 10 XRP from the terminal, and you can see the Zum wallet underneath. It shows 9,000 XRP. So we're actually sending to that wallet through the radio network. So you will see the balance of that wallet actually get updated by the 10 additional XRP. So the transaction that was posted from the radio network has now been applied to the XRP ledger, and we'll see the balance on the Zum wallet update by 10 XRP. So it's important to note that this is a full duplex time division multiple access protocol. So both nodes have an equal opportunity to speak.
Awesome. So that is what we're talking about. I want to go to another video now. Let's check out some more offline. Did I go to the right one? Here we go. So we're talking about using XRP offline now. We can send CBDCs offline. Let me show you how. This is the Palau stablecoin, the PSC, and this is being utilized in an offline manner here. They're just going to take you through the process. This is a company known as Whisper Cash. I don't believe they have an app, but they connect to wallets and allow the offline transfer to be facilitated and complete. So here he is opening up the MetaMask. He's typing in how much he wants. It's going through the Whisper Pay there on the XRPL. You can see it there. Through the EVM, Ethereum Virtual Machine. That is the standard for cryptocurrencies, the EVM, okay, for Ethereum. So there he sends the 5 XRP, shows how much it's going to cost, payment complete, and notification. There he goes. The PSC, Palau stablecoin, was sent without a hitch. That's how that works. Who else does that, you ask? Well, let's go into Stellar. So here we have it as Stellar now. Again, XRP and XLM are very, very similar in manner. They operate in different frequencies in terms of what they are doing or how they are doing, or when I say frequency, I mean levels in terms of where they're operating. XRP is moving with the real-time gross settlements, so is XLM, but a different type of real-time gross settlements, as opposed to XLM wanting to be more financial inclusive. XRP works for intra-bank settlements. Okay, there we go. That's how I'll say it. So here we have a construct, now an actual construct of them talking about it. ANZ in Australia with eCurrency and Stellar Foundation. And this is moving the digital rupiah out in Indonesia. I want to say Indonesia. I don't know. I don't recall. Could be Indonesia, could be Micronesia, one of them. The digital rupiah. All right. So this is how this works. We've shown you the radio frequency. We've shown you the technology. By we, I mean me, the LIFI technology. After this, I will show you how it works and what the potential for these two coins are, XRP and XLM. And I will show you this with empirical evidence. Empirical evidence. I don't want to say facts. I talk in documents, official documents here, okay? I don't want to make up something and tell all you investors out there to do anything. I want to give you the cold, hard facts of what these higher level entities are saying, and you come to your own conclusions. So here we go.
eRupiah in the offline wallet can be transferred directly over Bluetooth to another device as demonstrated here. Enter the amount to be sent over Bluetooth, which is 10,000 IDR in this case. Confirm to proceed. Now it's connected, receiving the amount, and the amount is received by the second card. offline transfers are programmable to comply with BI policies. Sent 25,000 to Alice.
And transfer failed.
Now August needs to send money to his brother Alex, who lives in Singapore, converting e-rupiah into e-Sing dollar into his brother's digital wallet.
Hi Alex, I'm sending 400 Singapore dollars. Looks like the extended used was 0.00098.
Hey Eagles, just got a transfer. It's 400 Singaporean dollars.
SEA offers the unique benefits of digital bearer instruments, the power of Web3 access and controls, and the superior banking experience to provide strong, user-oriented, digitally inclusive products.
I had a video before on the UCC, Universal Commercial Code. Look it up, it'll teach you a lot. I'm going to go through this quickly to show you again, just to summarize what it is. The UCC, or Universal Commercial Code, is a comprehensive set of laws governing all commercial transactions in the US. It is not a federal law, but a uniformly adopted state law. Uniformity of law is essential in this area for the interstate transaction of businesses. Because the UCC has been universally adopted, businesses can enter into contracts with confidence that the terms will be enforced in the same way by the courts of every American jurisdiction. The resulting certainty of business relationships allow businesses to grow and the American economy to thrive. For this reason, the UCC has been called the backbone of American commerce. All right, now let's jump into this. This here is a video from the OCC put out
international commerce,
sorry,
bill of lading.
Stop. 2 months ago, it'll come out there. And this is the OCC Symposium on the Tokenization of Real-World Assets and Liabilities. Why does the UCC matter? Because the UCC determines what gives someone the ability to federally say or legally say, I possess this thing. You can have a digital asset that does a contract, a smart contract that says X, Y, and Z. But if there's no legal backing behind it, that X, Y, and Z in that contract means nothing. There has to be some legality backing behind it. If you're going to play in their construct, you're going to play by their rules. Okay? So let's see what this gentleman has to say. This is the OCC talking about it. This gentleman, a woman, and an older gentleman too. This is a longer video, so I'm going to put this full screen so y'all can watch. Enjoy this. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Nice piece of paper that represents ownership of goods stored on a ship. Or warehouse receipts. Again, it's a piece of paper representing ownership to what? Ownership to agricultural product or anything else stored in a warehouse. So this, the why, right? That's what we were encouraged to talk about. This notion that to simplify, to fluidify the commercial circulation of certain goods, it would make a lot of sense to represent their ownership or other property rights through a token. That idea has been around for a while. I'm not going to put everyone to sleep with like 18th century English common law and all that, but it would make for a fascinating conversation. So what is it that is happening now? It's the idea that the token is no longer a piece of paper because paper has all its inherent limitations, right? It's a piece of paper. It gets lost. You can burn it. The idea is let's tokenize, let's have these property rights be represented by what? A data entry, something electronic. So the idea of tokenization is not new. Implementing this idea that the law has recognized for a long time through electronic means, through distributed networks that have potentially no central party controlling them. That is, if you want, the challenge of the day.
Yeah, and so I'll jump in a little bit on what Andrea just said, because he mentioned existing examples of tokenization, and when we heard the opening remarks, again, the North Star first why. So, when we're talking about things like promissory notes, checks and drafts, deeds to real estate, security certificates, car titles, they all emerged to solve a problem, right? Andrea said he didn't want to bore you with, old English common law, but, the idea of a bill of exchange has been around for centuries, because back in the old days when people were trading goods across borders, it wasn't safe to carry cash, and some countries actually limited the ability to take cash out of their countries. So people would trade debts, right? If Andrea owes Ed for something and Ed is buying something from me, he can hand me a piece of paper that says, go collect from Andrea. So that solved a very specific problem. And as Andrea said, our typical idea of a token is a paper representation of an intangible right? So you have paper that represents debts, and in fact, in the case of negotiable instruments, actually embodies those debts. Deeds to real estate. Now, those aren't really hard tokens because you can become the owner of real estate, for instance, by, inheriting it through intestacy without actually taking the delivery of a deed. But, deeds were necessary in order to track who owns real estate. And even though we think of real estate as tangible, rights in real estate are actually intangible. So the paper deed that could be filed in a public record, allowed us to determine who owns the real estate.
Remember this pilot? This here is Hong Kong Monetary Authority. She's talking about tokenized real estate here. EHKD, pilot program, phase 1. We'd gone through this before. You guys stay with me here. Here we go. We have all the participants there. We have the HKT, Standard Chartered, Visa, ZA Bank, Ripple. Why did I decide to show you this? This is why this is important, this document here. So Fubon Bank and Ripple explored in this pilot the use of tokenized real estate assets in granting a home equity line of credit, also known as a HELOC, to a real estate owner using a hypothetical EHKD, the Hong Kong Digital Yuan, or Hong Kong dollar, sorry. When the lending protocol is triggered, property lien tokens are used as collateral by the bank in minting a residential mortgage loan, and the loan amount for drawdown is then credited to the owner in EHKD. The process today is operationally intensive for lending and can span multiple systems. In this connection, the model of token-based lending could enable lenders to provide a more efficient service to potential real estate owners to realize additional liquidity, which can in turn encourage take-up of such facilities. So this is what they're exploring. They're exploring whether these deed transfers digitally can facilitate ownership transfers, right? And people are sitting there complaining, well, why is XRP 50 cents? Why is XRP 50 cents? Who cares? Who cares? There's no laws surrounding this stuff yet. You are in early. Stop whining. Dry your eyes. Learn what's going on. If you don't have the capacity to figure out what's going on, allow me to teach you. But stop whining. If you're going to be in a coin such as this, such as XLM and the other coins that are projected for long-term growth, have patience. If you don't have patience, you are speculating in this market. We all are speculating, but we are doing our homework. If you're there complaining that XRP is taking too long to move, sell it, move on. Don't waste your time. Don't waste mine. Don't ask me dumb questions. Why is it 50 cents still? You should be praying God and thankful it's 50 cents still, because you have the opportunity to hear it, see it, smell it, like it, love it, and be in it. Not everybody will be. So count your blessings. Let's go back.
Securities certificates represent an intangible ownership interest in a business entity. And so, again, most of the time we're making the intangible tangible, although Andrea mentioned bills of lading, which actually, do represent rights in tangible goods.
So you heard the woman talking at the OCC about bills of lading. Create your documents on MLETR compliant solutions. XDC. I'm showing you guys the compliant cryptocurrencies here, and these ones, in my opinion, are forecast to blow. So when I get to my last document and I'm reading that to you guys, consider XRP, XLM, XDC. These are layer 1 infrastructure digital assets, okay? So when she continues talking and she's talking about bills of lading, think of this. Raise capital for your trades, okay? Empowering trust and efficiency, seamless verification, asset transfer, and atomic swaps with decentralized control. Seamless integration with Trade Trust, IMDA backed and MLETR compliant. Public utility built on open attestation framework. Ability to verify documents and transfer the title of the assets represented by negotiable documents. Negotiable documents. That's legal documents at this point. That's what they are talking about. Atomic swaps of funds and title ownership using smart contracts, thereby building trust without centralized control. So here we are at Trade Finance Global website. Notice the name. I said Trade Finance Global. XDC liquidity for trade finance. XDC protocol is a common standard digitalization protocol for trade finance securitization. Features: prevent fraud through transparency, immediate counterparty risk mitigation. XDC protocol allows you to hold securitized trade finance asset or negotiable instruments on a fully tokenized digital form in your custody. They can then be transferred between financial institutions on a peer-to-peer network without any risk of centralized failure. So they're talking about transferring that ownership, transferring that value, the internet of value. Okay? Notice how XDC is a part of this too. XRP is definitely the big part of that. XDC, XLM, XRP. The tokenized asset can be settled with a digital fiat cash of choice. List them there, and many more. Issued on XinFin network or digital assets at the XinFin network, XDC nodes, or cloud, or even a personal or company computer. So going down, XDC liquidity for trade finance. Ripple. Ripple has successfully showcased the use case of digital assets on its decentralized network, XRP. Remittance companies can use the liquidity of XRP across corridors to process faster retail payments. XRP built its liquidity from USD 250,000 per day to approximate 2 billion per day. XDC, digital asset on XinFin network, currently traded across 18 global markets. XDC has demonstrated the ability to be a liquid asset against multiple fiat currencies across different jurisdictions. So here we are, still on Trade Financial Global. What is Ripple? Okay, who's Trade Financial? Really, you're gonna ask that? Who's Trade Financial Global? Fine. So this is why they matter, okay? So TFG, Trade Finance Global at a glance. Data-led origination platform connects companies with innovative trade and receivables, financial or finance solutions from over 300 financial institutions. This is combined with TFG's award-winning content, educating a global audience of 160K monthly readers. 160K monthly readers in an app. Where are you? Where's the about us? About us. So here we go. The Trade Finance Global is a leading B2B fintech in trade finance. TFG's data-led origination platform connects companies with innovation, trade, and receivables. So we read this. So they typically get about 7.1 million impressions per month across app, podcasts, videos, magazines, whatever. Here's their strategic partnerships. BAFT, huge company. ICC, they're the International Chambers of Commerce. They're the Commerce. ITF. Oh man, these are huge companies here. Huge companies. Just stupid huge companies. I'm sorry, guys. As seen on everything. Okay? Everything. So why does it matter when they talk? Because when they talk, it's important. Ripple's a payment settlement system and currency exchange network that can process process transactions globally. The network's native cryptocurrency, XRP, was designed to be used for practical application across the financial service spaces. The network itself was built to allow banks and other institutions to transfer money and assets. Transfer assets, tokenization is what we're talking about here with the OCC, and we're talking about utilizing it offline through RFs across border more quickly and with low transaction fees. Ripple is typically categorized as a type of cryptocurrency or blockchain-based platform. It's not really either of these though. While it does share some similarities with other blockchain platforms like Ethereum and cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, it has a few distinct differences that set it apart. Firstly, it does not use blockchain to provide consensus. Instead, it summarizes data using a hash tree and compares this data across its validating servers. We've seen demos of this now offline. Secondly, unlike most other cryptocurrencies, XRP can't be mined. It's not like it's Bitcoin where it's proof of work where you're mining it and utilizing all this energy and all that, a lot of energy. It's different. It meets the SDGs. I'm not saying the SDGs are good, Sustainable Development Goals of the Agenda 2030. Again, not saying they're good, not saying they're bad, just telling you what they do. The whole narrative is being carbon neutral. XRP and XRPL are carbon neutral. They're looking for carbon negative. Soon, they're working towards that with carbon offsetting and trading. They are in that game. Let's continue this video.
And those all emerged for very specific reasons. They solved a problem. I think one thing that muddies the conversation about tokenization today is some of the attempts that, are kind of non-serious, right? Well, I mean, the people who do it think they're serious, but, tokenizing interests in real estate. Like why? We already do that, right? We have deeds. But, you have all these, splashy, we can use a token for something. And I think it muddies the conversation of some necessary tokens or tokens that make sense. And I think, Ed, you might want to talk about accounts and general intangibles and things like that.
Well, thank you, Juliet, and thank you, Andrea, for teeing this up so nicely. What you've heard just now is how tokens can be on paper and represent various rights on paper. But when people talk about tokens today, they're generally not talking about paper. They're talking about something that is in electronic form. If you look to all of the paper type tokens, today you find some sort of statutory background, some sort of statutory foundation which links that piece of paper with the right. If you're talking about a negotiable instrument, you have Article 3 of the Uniform Commercial Code. If you have a bill of lading or a warehouse receipt, you have Article 7. If you have a certificated security, you have Article 8. Those are statutory foundations that give that paper token meaning. So what happens when the token is electronic? What is there in the law that links that token to a specific type of right so that you can say that right or liability is embodied in the token? That's where, before the 2022 amendments to the UCC, people were scratching their heads, saying, where is the legal foundation for that? It's one thing where the token itself, it's just an electronic data, is itself the right, like you have with cryptocurrency, for example, like Bitcoin. Yeah. The electronic data is, in fact, the particular asset. But where you want the electronic data to be linked to something else, whether you're talking about a right to payment, or you're talking about real estate, or you're talking about gold bars, you need to have some sort of law out there that links that right or liability to the electronic data. And that was actually the reason why we had the 2022 amendments to the Uniform Commercial Code.
And before...
And this is why the price of these coins are still low, okay, people? They're low still. This is the reason why. There's no global law, global framework. There's no global framework that gives these tokens the right needed to move value still. I'm just talking about the US. Yeah, there are similar structures that have been regulations structure I'm talking about that have been set up in the Middle East there where they use VARA, and MICA's coming out soon, but that's just for stable coins, not NFTs, not the smart contracts and NFTs to move values like this. It's just stable coins. Stable coins are going to bring value for sure, but what can they move still? If there's nothing to buy on that platform, what are you moving? Why are the coins not higher? Because there's nothing to move. There's no legal rights backing it, as this gentleman just said. And the world is not going to move without the US. The US has the global reserve. A lot of the world uses the US dollar. I don't care where you think. Yes, BRICS is coming up with their R5, their IMF alternative to the ESD, to the SDR, known as an ESDR. Yes. But the world operates on the US dollar still. This is why these coins are 50 cents, 60 cents, 10 cents, 5 cents, negative sub-cent, 0.008 of a cent. All right? This is why. This is why. This is why.
As I think Andrea probably wants to say something on this, but before I kick it over to him, I mean, I think what's really important about what Ed said about the various UCC articles was that they were, as the Uniform Commercial Code does, it tends to reflect existing practices and enable existing practices, right? The Uniform Commercial Code, probably important to remind everybody, is not regulatory, it's facilitative. So for, hundreds of years, these assets were linked to a certain type of right. And, when the UCC came along in the 1950s, said, oh, well, actually even before that, but, the law then recognized this link.
Yeah, I think that what Ed just said is possibly the biggest challenge that we've seen with tokenization over the past, I'd say, 3 to 5 years from a private law perspective. And that is the market and market participants, sometimes in good faith, unfortunately, oftentimes in bad faith, they come to the market and say, look, I have this beautiful token here, and look how fantastic it is. It moves so fast. We have this beautiful network that allows for it to travel at the speed of light, and we've got a blockchain that makes it trackable, and the blockchain is cryptographically resistant, all that, and that's all true. And then they go on to say, and once you take this token, and they usually utilize very hazy language to describe the taking of the token. Once you take the token, then you also acquire ownership rights in something else, a painting, a rare car, a digital image. But when you delve into it, you find out that, as Ed said, unless there is some form of statutory instrument or even a common law decision that gives you a property right, those contractual promises being made by the issuer are just that. They're promises, they're contractual undertakings. They don't give you property rights, which means that when they fall short on their promise, and this sounds a bit too abstract, when you're buying the token that promises to give you ownership of a Brooklyn Bridge, and it turns out that they don't own the Brooklyn Bridge and they're not about to transfer you ownership of a Brooklyn Bridge, what are you left with? A breach of contract action. So that's the problem.
So what you're hearing is, if the question is, how does the common law handle tokenization when the token is in electronic form, the answer is badly.
Yeah.
That if you look on the surface, there's nothing there. If you look, there's little there, and if you look below the surface, there's nothing there.
Yeah, excellent point. And I want to mention something that Andrea said, because it reflects also the opening marks for Mr. Su. So, you in the payments field, it makes a lot of sense for, payment rights to move at the speed of light in a lot of cases. But like the folks who are tokenizing real estate say things like, well, gee, a home purchase transaction can be as fast and easy as a Venmo transaction. That is probably not a good idea. For all of you who have bought homes, probably not great. So
remember in the beginning, I showed you that infogram picture there, infographic picture. They were talking about LIFI, and we saw Ripple, Stellar, XLM, XRP, and we saw Starlink. This is how Starlink plays into this. We went through LIFI already. I showed you how XRP, XLM work offline. We heard the OCC talking about tokenized assets for ownership at this point now, how that value can be moved and utilized. And now let's cue in Starlink. Let's see how this can work.
Starlink uses the world's most advanced satellite technology to deliver high-speed, low-latency internet all over the world. Traditional satellite internet services rely on single geostationary satellites that orbit at a far distance, leading to high latency and unreliable connection. By leveraging the world's largest satellite constellation using a low Earth orbit, Starlink can support streaming, online gaming, video calls, and more. When your Starlink kit arrives, it'll include everything you need to connect to the internet. You will need a clear view of the sky in order to stay linked to the satellite network. Starlink can withstand extreme cold, heat, hail, sleet, heavy rain, and gale force winds. Once your Starlink has found a satellite connection, you're ready to connect.
How else is this being done, you ask? Let me show you. Allow me to introduce you to Space Chain.
Imagine a new kind of global operating system, hosted in space, available to anyone, anywhere in the world. Space Chain is building the world's first open-source blockchain-based satellite network. A mesh node constellation of low Earth orbit microsatellites will serve as the next generation of decentralized infrastructure for the blockchain industry, allowing users to develop and run applications in space, like cryptocurrency exchanges, global real-time sensor arrays, ultra-secure data storage, space VR, true peer-to-peer encrypted messages, or applications we haven't even dreamt of yet, all while remaining secure, immutable, and decentralized through proven blockchain cryptography. Space Chain utility tokens will enable developers and users to run apps and store data on the blockchain, establishing a crowdsourced app marketplace, an open-source interoperability standard for all future space platforms. Imagine all satellites, spacecraft and hardware networked together by the open-source protocol and technology created by the Space Chain community. What industries could we create and boundaries could we break by untethering innovation from the Earth? Space Chain. Revolutionizing the space economy.
Woo! We're about to head out into space, and that's where we headed to next. Let me show you how this is also going to be facilitated. So we have money being spent out in space via satellite, via internet. We have money being spent in the military via low frequencies, RF frequency, LIFI, via light. We saw that in space. We saw that on Earth. Now here we are in ocean and all over the Earth. All over the Earth, all right? Here we go.
What happens when critical incidents unfold in the open ocean? In regions beyond the tracking capabilities of traditional shore-based monitoring methods, how do organizations obtain accurate maritime data in order to make swift, informed decisions? The answer is real-time AIS data only available from Spire Maritime. Real-time AIS is a unique dataset coming from the Iridium NEXT satellite constellation. Through the system's in-orbit mesh architecture, it ensures continuous and real-time global surface coverage of maritime activities with less than a minute refresh, compared to an average of 20 minutes from regular AIS data sources. Real-time AIS has a multitude of vital use cases. It can monitor and help protect assets by identifying vessels that might pose a security risk or conduct unauthorized activities. It can support strategic planning, assess threats, and contribute to defense intelligence by tracking naval movements. It can be used to assess supply chain disruptions, analyze shipping methods, predict market fluctuations, and track cargo vessels in real time. It can help gather valuable information for commodity traders, investors, and policymakers to make informed decisions. It can identify vessels that may be engaged in illegal activities or violating maritime laws to ensure compliance with regulations and safety standards. It can even help search and rescue teams get accurate real-time vessel locations to enable quicker response times and coordinate efforts. Spire Maritime is the only provider of real-time AIS, monitoring over 600,000 vessels 24/7. Real-time AIS is accessible through ShipView and our modern APIs and is designed by developers for developers. Don't wait and get in touch today for more information. Visit spire.com/realtime.
Don't you love it when a plan comes together? Anyways, let's go back to the OCC video there where they're talking about UCC, because this has to do with the Universal Commercial Code, the transferring of value of physical things using bills of lading, and the ownership via the NFT, via a smart contract within that. So MiCA is rolling out in Europe there, in EU, sorry. Yeah, Europe, that same place. In Europe, and we have Universal Commercial Code for NFTs rolling out here in the US. I'm in Canada, okay? Just, yeah. Listen in.
So again, back to the why, right? There are certain things, certain assets that for which tokenization makes a lot of sense and certain ones for which it really doesn't.
So Jonathan, have we exhausted that question or not?
I think you guys have done just a really excellent job at just laying that foundation. I think that's just a really helpful opening. So thank you all. Maybe having traveled through those sort of foundational and definitional issues, we should dig a little deeper now into some of the property rights issues and how the UCC, or at least more accurately, perhaps the various states' enactment of the model code applies and with what results. So just sort of digging a little deeper into those.
Yeah, so I'll start with the unrevised UCC and then turn it over to Ed for what the 2022 amendments do. And then Andrea is going to talk a bit about the United Kingdom Law Commission. So, one question, and this is one I think we've all fielded a lot, is, well, does the existing unamended UCC provide for security interests in tokens, in blockchain assets? And there were a lot of people who said, well, gosh, no, it's just so new. The UCC doesn't do anything about that. But that's actually not true. Okay. The unamended UCC, and as Ed is going to talk about, the amendments are going through the enactment process. We have, is it 11 enactments?
So far.
11 enactments so far, and just yesterday, the Council of the District of Columbia approved them. So,
they knew that we were having a tokenization symposium, and
they knew, they did.
It's now going to be a tsunami of enactments.
Exactly. So under the current Uniform Commercial Code, a token or a blockchain asset, or I know some people don't like this term, but crypto asset, would be considered a general intangible. That is a catch-all category for collateral under the Uniform Commercial Code that is not goods, negotiable instruments, and every other defined category of assets under the UCC. So if you can take and perfect a security interest in one of these assets under the current UCC, why did we need the 2022 amendments? Well, so right now, under the unamended UCC, which is still in effect in most United States jurisdictions, in order to perfect a security interest in a general intangible, a creditor has to file a financing statement. And if that general intangible is transferred, the person taking the general intangible by transfer would have to search the Uniform Commercial Code records to see if there is a prior security interest in it. Because if there is, that person, that transferee, takes subject to the prior perfected security interest. Now, people who transact in the assets that we are calling tokens, and let's, talk about tokens for, that represent payment rights, and Ed mentioned Bitcoin, they want these tokens to be negotiable. In other words, they want to be able to use them in commerce the same way we use promissory notes in commerce, checks in commerce, and if somebody, a chattel paper in commerce.
Promissory notes, she just said. IOUs have a lot in common with promissory notes. Both are written financial agreements that deal with debt specifically. The promise of one party to repay another a certain sum on or by a certain date. The key difference is that the promissory note is more formal and complete than an IOU. Huh, okay. So here we are at this document here. Is it this document? It's got to be this document. I think it's this one here. Yeah. Listening to whispers of Ripple, linking wallets and de-anonymizing transactions in the Ripple network. Although Ripple and Bitcoin, and she said Bitcoin as well, share the goal of making money and faster to move around the world, they are conceptually different from each other. While Bitcoin is a digital cryptocurrency, acts as a currency supposed to be peer-to-peer from me to you, Ripple is a transaction network that enables transactions in any currency between arbitrary pairs of agents. In fact, Ripple allows Bitcoin transaction. So you can get Bitcoin transactions on the XRPL. The payer of a transaction can send a certain amount of IOUs, promissory notes, in any chosen currency, and the payee receives the corresponding amount of Bitcoin. So you can send that Bitcoin back and forth on the XRPL. Therefore, all Bitcoin merchants now accepting transactions from Ripple, users using the Ripple network. More than 8,500 merchants, such as WordPress, are now available on the Ripple network. Shots. Bet you didn't know that one. Ripple, the company responsible for the creation of the Ripple network, has joined the standardization organization to assist with the regulations of transactions on the web. The W3C Payment Internet Group, the International Payments Framework Association, or the Center of Financial Services Innovation Network. These are the people Ripple is working with. In general, Ripple is intended to be the internet of value, facilitating the exchange of value at large scale as information moves today on the internet.
Somebody who takes possession of those assets without, for value, without knowing of prior claims to the asset, takes free of perfected security interests. And filing, it'll give the creditor priority over the trustee in bankruptcy, but doesn't give priority over these people who are holders in good due course, good faith purchasers of these assets, and so on. So these take free rules for, I'll use negotiable instruments as an example, enable the negotiability of these assets. And that's what people in the space we're talking about today wanted. Now, another issue, though, and so that's the real business practical reason for focusing the amendments on these assets, which Ed will explain are called controllable electronic records. Now, another issue is if the Uniform Commercial Code is uniform among jurisdictions, then, we don't have to worry about a transfer of an asset from somebody in California to somebody in New York because it's uniform law. Well, what was happening over the past few years is that states wanted to appear crypto-friendly, to encourage these businesses to incorporate in their states and do business in their states. And they were enacting their own statutes, which either explicitly or implicitly or inadvertently revised the Uniform Commercial Code. And that created some, I think, important choice of law problems. I would not want to be the bankruptcy judge who, found this stuff in a bankruptcy estate and had to try to figure out what law applies. So that was the impetus for the 2022 amendments that Ed will talk about.
Thank you. Thank you, Juliet. And it's important, I think, in talking about the 2022 amendments to bear in mind some basic property law concepts. If I own a tangible piece of property and someone steals it and then sells it to Jonathan, I can recover that property from Jonathan. I'm the owner of that property. On the other hand, for commerce to work, we need some concept of negotiability. And we see that with negotiable instruments, with securities, with bills of lading and warehouse receipts. We have these adverse claim cutoff rules where buyers in good faith of these type of assets don't need to worry about some person several chains down the chain of title several links down the chain of title coming back and saying that's mine. Otherwise, we wouldn't have these trading systems that were workable at all. So the question is, what do we do with electronic tokens? Do we give them that same sort of negotiability or not? And there seemed to be a great outcry for, yes, doing so to meet commercial expectations, as Juliet mentioned. And when you look to the existing UCC, as Juliet mentioned, not only does the pre-amendments UCC not work for security interests, doesn't work for sales either, because let's say cryptocurrency is a general intangible, and sales of general intangibles are outside of the scope of the pre-amendments UCC entirely. So what the 2022 amendments did is it tried to come up with rules that moved the electronic tokens from the pure property concept to more of a negotiability concept. And so there is a rule that says that if I obtain what we call a controllable electronic record, if I obtain that from Juliet, I get whatever rights she had. And if I'm equivalent to a good faith purchaser, what we call a qualifying purchaser, I take free of property claims to that particular electronic record. Now, the electronic record is just an electronic record. You know, that will work for cryptocurrency. It might work for non-fungible tokens. But what do you do if you want to have an electronic record that embodies some sort of right? And we thought about bringing in all sorts of other rights to this electronic record and say, when you transfer the electronic record, then all of these rights travel with that electronic record, and whatever rights the transferee gets with the electronic record, including the adverse claim cutoff rules, that transferee also gets with the embodied rights. But when we look to the entire universe of what these embodied rights could be, the universe was too vast for us to deal with. We couldn't deal, and some of it was outside our jurisdiction. We couldn't deal, for example, with copyright law and an NFT. That would be nuts. But what we did concentrate on are payment rights. What we call, if we have what we call an account or a payment intangible under Article 9 of the UCC, and the account debtor, the person obligated on that payment right, agrees to pay the person in control of that payment right, then that account or payment intangible travels with the electronic record. And to establish what we mean by control, which allows all of these particular rights, including the adverse claim cutoffs, we tried to come up with a concept that was equivalent to possession for a tangible object. So if I claim I have control of this electronic record, then only I can transfer it. Only I can prevent other people from tinkering with it. I get to enjoy substantially all the benefits of that record. I'm the one who's able to identify myself as the person in control. If you have an electronic record that is simply not subject to control, it's outside the scope of these amendments entirely. So that's what we tried to do to create this concept of negotiability, and also for a limited number of assets, namely payment rights, to be able to say, once you get the electronic record, control of the electronic record, you also get the payment rights and you get all the benefits of the adverse claim cutoff rules.
How do those payments rights come into existence? The Bureau has continued to monitor the remittance transfer market since the publication of the assessment report. This is for the CFPB cross, I can't remember what it stands for. Yeah, okay, whatever. So the examples include one, the continued growth and expanded functionality of the Society SWIFT, Global Payment Innovation, GPI tracking product, which can increase the amount of upfront information available to sending institutions. and the expansion of the major payment card networks' capacity to support cross-border payments. The continued growth of fintech, non-bank remittance transfers provided, and their further expansion into partnerships and their relationships with banks and credit unions, which will allow such entities to tap into the closed network payment systems that non-bank remittance transfer providers have developed. And 3, the continued growth and expanding partnerships of virtual currency companies such as Ripple, which offer both payments messaging platform to support cross-border money transfers, as well as a proprietary virtual currency XRP. So now they are admitting to allowing XRP to be the owner or possess the contract, that contract within that money movement from this value here to this value there. To get onto XRP, this is where the Ripple stablecoin comes into play now. You're going to be onboarded in through the Ripple stablecoin from wherever the end user is, whoever the end user is, right to XRP, swap into whatever this new currency is. Could be the euro, either Ripple USD, and over to the end user there. This is in the US. They are saying this already exists. Okay? The Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection Board, that's who they are, the CFPB. So now if you've made it this far, you are in for a treat. Why are you in for a treat? Let me show you why you're in for a treat. There's a document here come out May 17, 2023, projecting XRP price burst by correlation tensor spectra of transaction networks. I just want to take some attention here on my Patreon here. I want to get this out so you guys know. Within my Patreon here, I do my best to put out information here, private information to the group. It's $10 a month, and I provide a wealth of information here. If you're looking to learn how to maximize and capitalize on your crypto profits and gains, once that comes about, you will want a place to store it and secure your wealth, because if not, you'll be riding the crypto wave up and down. And I teach you how to purchase real estate, what to look for, what the trends are of real estate. I teach you about cryptocurrency, I teach you about finances, I teach you about the regulations in the back end of things too. And depending on which tier that you purchase, you can definitely get access to me, and we can chat one-to-one, and I can teach you personally as a mentor on how to go about real estate, how to capitalize on this wealth transfer. So introduction. Okay, cryptocurrencies represent value that one can transfer, store, or trade digitally. It uses cryptography to protect data and distributed ledger technology to record transactions. A blockchain technology, which is a form of secure digital ledger, is used to store the records of crypto transactions. Recently, crypto assets have been very popular as an investment, but crypto asset prices are extremely volatile and unpredictable. The crypto market experience serves severe price fluctuation from 2017, December 2018, January. The presence of bubbles, for example, explosive price behavior in this asset has attracted attention from the researchers. At present, there are many crypto assets, some well-known. Some well-known of them are Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. For the last 1 decade, complex network theory has been widely used to analyze crypto asset transaction data. Among the crypto assets networks of Bitcoin and ETH transactions have been studied extensively, which include different structural properties, temporal evolution, the market effects of these networks. In contrast, XRP transactions have been less explored. Ripple Labs Inc. created XRP as a native cryptocurrency for the Ripple network, which is designed to provide fast, efficient, and cost-effective financial transactions. The Ripple network is used for real-time gross settlement of financial transactions. Real-time gross settlement, RTGS, only central banks can utilize this. When I say only central banks and faster payment systems, only they have access to RTGS. XRP is used as a bridge asset in the network, helping to facilitate cross-border transfers and providing liquidity to the systems. P. Monero Sanchez et al. Uncovered community formation and clustering properties for the Ripple network. Aikida studied and structural properties of XRP transaction network, which include the heavy tail nature of nodal strength distribution, low value of clustering coefficients, and significant triangular motive. More recently, the role of the most active nodes with respect to outgoing and incoming flows or ebbs and flows of a duration, including bubble crash periods, the expansion and crashing again, has been quantified for Bitcoin and XRP transaction network. So to jump down to the conclusion now, so the significance of our result is shown by comparing with the results of a randomized counterparty, the evolution of the largest single value, which shows distinctive behavior, and it correlates significantly with the XRP USD price. The composition of the correlation tensor into signal and noise components shows the correlation in the signal component decreases significantly during the bubble period. We explain this decrease in the correlation during the bubble period by evolution of community structure that shows disruptive behavior during the bubble period. Okay, so we're talking a bubble period here. A bubble economic period. Things expanding. The disruptive behavior of community structure has also been observed in the foreign exchange market during economic downturns. So we're looking at for a bubble and an economic downturn to happen for this price explosion. In summary, we have developed a method of correlation tensor spectra from XRP transactions. This eigenvalue decomposition of cross-correlation matrix is extensively used to analyze time series data as daily stock price, foreign exchange rate, etc. However, interactions between the agents in these systems have not been considered. On the other hand, we construct the correlation tensor from the network structure of XRP transactions. Then the double singular value decomposition of the correlation tensor reveals a connection between the network structure and the XRP price. This is like tough English for me reading this. The method also provides crucial insights into the bubble period of XRP. While the main focus of this study is to demonstrate the feasibility of the method, further comprehensive analysis on other bubbles and non-bubble periods will need to be studied in the future. Overall, this method has the potential to contribute to a better understanding and detecting of bubbles in financials market using XRP's price. They are forecasting bubbles in the market. Shot, everybody. So if you can figure out the correlation of XRP to the economy that we're living in here, you'll understand why it's down. They are correlating it to the US price there, or the US value. The US value is going up, the dollar. XRP is going down. When the bubble happens and the economy goes down, XRP will go up. That's how it's going to go. We saw the LIFI. We saw the Starlink, the space chain, and the Spire. We saw all these things, how it's going to happen. We saw how the offline works. We saw the trade finance. I showed you guys this. I do hope you found value in this. I'll see you on the next one.
We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves.